Yeah, welcome back to the 2023 verdict. Cynthia Mbamalu joins us next to talk us through what to expect on election day, how the BVAS will play out for you, because that is the main, in fact, that's one of the first things you have to go through before you thumbprint, actually. So, Cynthia, good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning.
I often wonder sometimes, look, do CSOs even vote? CSOs, are they like us? They don't vote, just observe, monitor.
Well, sometimes we don't, because you have to vote where you registered, and most times we're either deployed somewhere else or we're moving around the country or around the state.
Oh, is it that? Okay, well, sometimes. So at other times they vote, and when they vote, do they feel people that are looking over their shoulder to say, oh, you voted for this party? So in other words,
there is that, because Nigerians have trust issues.
Oh dear.
But yeah, and which was why there's an advocacy that we need to have early voting for election day workers, so media, because I'm sure most times you also don't get to vote.
Yeah.
Observers, even security personnel is deployed. Most times a lot of them don't get to vote, but in other countries, people can vote early so that you can work on election day.
That would be interesting to see. After all, INEC always says we like to improve on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So hopefully that will be one of the key components that we'd like to see some improvement on moving forward. But now the big day, the BVAS. We can't talk about this enough, no matter how much, because it may still pose a challenge. It's a technology. So on that day, certain things will happen. So what do we expect when we get out there to vote with the BVAS?
Yeah, so the BVAS has two important functions. The first, it's used to accredit voters, and the second, it's used to transmit data of accredited voters and upload the results of the polling unit to the INEC result portal. So the INEC result portal cannot function without the BVAS. That's how important it is, and people call it the game changer. But now with the new Electoral Act, the BVAS will be used to accredit voters. In accrediting voters, what it's used to do is to ensure that first your PVC is verified, or your PVC is verified and your fingerprint officials authenticated. Now, once accreditation and voting is concluded, the BVAS would be used to transmit data of accredited voters. Now, remember that every voter that is accredited, the BVAS records it. So let's say 50 persons came out, no, that's not good. Let's say 500 persons came out to vote in the polling unit. I'm hoping for a really high turnout. And they get accredited on the BVAS. The BVAS would record 500 voters, right? After the close of polls, the BVAS, the data is transmitted to the back-end server of INEC, so that there is that central place where there's a clear sign of how many people got accredited to vote. Now, secondly, the BVAS will be used to take a picture of the INEC's, the polling unit result form, which is called Form EC8A. Now, Form EC8A is a result sheet where records of votes are captured, so votes for each party, the limitation data, which includes how many voters are registered, PVC, how many voters are accredited, rejected spots, and all those important information. It's captured. Now, they take a picture of the result form and it's uploaded on the INEC result portal. Now, what is important is on elections day, the BVAS has this important, IReV, the important function IReV plays includes one, it ensures that polling unit level results are uploaded and available for voters, stakeholders to access from the comfort of their room. So you can vote, watch the counting. When the picture is taken, it's always good to be, we always tell voters, the part on vigilance is you sit back, ensure that the picture is taken of your result sheet, because if it's not taken there, it will not be uploaded. And then you can go back home and download, so you can become your own collation officer. Now, beyond that, at the result collation process, now there are two modes of the collation. Has a dual mode system. One, there is the electronic transmission, which is done, but the officials also take the result sheets from the polling unit to the ward collation. At the ward collation, it is required that the collation officer would confirm that the data in the physically transmitted one, or the one that moved from the polling unit to the ward collation, is the same with what is electronically uploaded. Now, if there is discrepancy, what is required is that electronically transmitted version would be used to resolve the discrepancy. That's how important it is. And the idea is that we believe that at polling units, it's difficult for you to take a picture of the wrong sheet because party agents are there, voters are there. So whatever happens, we expected that there is some level of accuracy in that result sheet that the picture is taken, and that things could change when people move from one location. Magic could happen. But that once you electronically upload it, there is no level of magic that can happen. So that is why at that level of collation, there is that check to ensure there's no discrepancy, and if there is discrepancy, then the electronically transmitted one will be used to resolve that.
It's interesting you talk about vigilance, and you talked about how voters can be vigilant. There are new ways now, which include making sure that the results of your polling unit is taken in your presence. I mean, apart from the fact that when the polling officer, gets there, you have to be sure that, the number of accredited people on the BVAS is zero. And then, I'm learning a lot on this program. I hope that our viewers are also following. Before now, we used to have a situation whereby our viewers used to take pictures of the results in their polling units, especially when it has been pasted. We know that the results of polling units are also supposed to be pasted at the end of the day. So would they still need to paste it, or should they just go home and go and look? I mean, would they still need to take a picture of the polling unit result, or should they just go home and go and download it?
There will still be that process. So the idea is to make the process a bit more transparent. So you have different modes of checks. Now, after the result is recorded on the result form EC8A, they also record this on the 60E result form EC60E. Now, 60E is what we call the people's result sheet, because that will be posted at polling units. We still encourage people to take a picture of that, because it's always good to have multiple levels of check. What you have posted is also what is uploaded, and is also what is collated. And that is why we tell voters, so when it comes to elections, we need to be aware and informed of the procedure. And secondly, citizens' vigilance is key to ensure transparency. So we can't just say, INEC. We all now have a role to play, which is why information helps us better provide oversight over the process.
When you say they can be their own collation officer, now they shouldn't just wait at home to do that, because it'll be comfortable to do it from their homes. So you need to be at the polling units if you're registered and you have your PVC, because that will help you. But how do they access this IReV in the first place?
So to access the IReV, in fact, you should do it now, because we don't want you to do it at the last dying minute. You go on the inecselectionsresults.ng. So if you see the link, www.inecelectionsresult.ng, and you go on this platform, you are requested to create an account. It's just like opening an email. So you see it pops up, it asks for an email and a password. You create an account. Remember your password, because that is what would be what you used to log in. And once you log in, you can, in fact, try it today, because you have all the results from Ekiti, Osun, and previous elections like FCT area council elections. So you can just see how it works. Click on the election of your interest. You select the state, because if it's for presidential, you have to go state by state. You select the state, you select the local government, and then the ward and polling units. Of course, it's the polling units result that are uploaded. The idea is you can access results or view results from every part of the country, depending on the states of your states of interest. And why I said it's important to create the accounts now is because we don't want on elections day to say, oh, we have been trying to create an account, it did not create. Although INEC has told us at on elections day, the platform has the capacity to manage about 100 million hits on that day. But we're just saying, because it's technology, it's always good to try out the platform now. Remember your password, and you can use that on elections day. But you said something very important. You still need to go out and vote. So vote, watch the process, and then go home, because results will start getting uploaded at least from 2:33, depending on when the process concludes. And it's important you do that on time.
So while you try that at home, let us know if you succeeded, because if you didn't, we'd like to follow through and find out for those who want to, actually. But yes, we'll ask them to go out there and vote. How did they get their polling units?
Oh, yes, because, INEC has created additional polling units, and we have voters moved to different polling units. Now, at this point, you can go on the INEC results. You can go on INEC portal. So there is the website first. So there are two ways. There is the website and there's a text message. I'll talk about the website. voters.inecnigeria.org. Go on that, put in your data, and you can access your polling unit. Now, we know that SMS may be easier for a lot more people, which is why you can also send a text message, the name of your state, your last name, and the last 6 digits of your voter identification number. That is that long number.
We like freebies.
Well, you know,
okay, no, let them do what they have to do.
Try it first. I don't want to say that. Yeah, but these are the numbers: 0906-283-0860 or 0906-283-0861. That would give you your polling unit name. Now, it's important because what you have on your permanent voters card, the polling unit you have may not be where you are now, because especially for those who registered before this new process, because INEC moved people to polling units closer to their place of residence. Some polling units were over congested, so INEC had to decongest so that you don't have polling units with 1 or 2 voters and you have one that has 2,000 voters. So INEC had to move people. Now INEC has started sending text messages. I got a text message from INEC.
Oh, nice.
I felt really special. I don't know how many people got the text message, but INEC is also sending text messages to some voters who have been moved. Most times, what is important is the polling units code. The last 3 digits is where you may see a change, because some people were moved to just a location within the same polling unit. So let's say I registered in primary school A, and there's a polling unit that has the last 3 code as 0011, and now I've been moved to 012. So sometimes it's just the code that changed, and all you need to do is to locate it on time, so that on elections day you're not spending time, you know, trying to find out where you are. So this works. Send a text message, you get a response, or go on voters.inecnigeria.org, and you would have a sense of where you'll be voting.
So if you're claustrophobic, go with a friend. Just notify somebody, because this is an important duty. Yes, your health is important, but you should try. Maybe Mapa should look out for her text message.
You know, I was just telling voters this morning that if they be leaving it to last minute, procrastinating like I have about finding out their polling unit, today will be a good day. But I wonder, I mean, I'm looking at all of this. For you, do you think this is simple enough for the average person, say market woman, you know, to be able to understand?
Well, we think this is reasonably simple. However, we also understand that we have different levels of comprehension on our capacity to learn or understand procedure, which is why we always say for these elections, honestly, we need to literally be our brothers and sisters keeper. There are those of us who understand the process a lot more. This is where you volunteer for voter education. And we encourage only young people. We have some people doing it in some states. Some of our young people, they go to markets with their phones and they say, do you want to locate your polling unit? And they're helping people do that because they have a phone, they have the capacity to do that. So I also think that because this is the simpler or the simpler version, the SMS, because the website is a bit more complex if you're not tech savvy. But we also encourage people, those in communities, if you can do this, help the people within your vicinity. At this point in time, every vote matters and every vote counts. And when it comes to elections, our collective responsibility to ensure that the process works and that it is credible.
So would you advise, or would this be allowed on election day itself? Because some think that, wait a minute, wouldn't it be tricky in the guise of helping? They might tell you, okay, actually, thumbprint here and there.
Okay, no, so this help is before elections. On election day, you vote because you know it's open secret ballots. It's you and your ballot paper. However, INEC could also post the register of voters across polling units. If you, on election day, if you go to polling, you know you see the register of voters. So voters are encouraged, before you join the queue, just go on that wall, check to confirm that your name is there. If it's not there, then you'd be directed to where you are. Now, there's another option that you may have joined the queue. Perhaps you forgot to check the register. Once you approach the INEC officials, the first INEC official you'd see, they confirm to be sure you're in the right polling unit. If you're not at the right polling, they tell you to go to the next place. But I don't want you to stand in the queue 2 hours and then get to your turn and you realize you are at the wrong place, which is why we say before elections, check, or on elections, they go on the register, confirm if your name is there. If it's not there, locate your polling unit on time.
Well, Cynthia, I think we've got some electorate in Lagos. They've got their PVCs as well. Go ahead.
Chamberlain, good morning, Cynthia. For me, I'd like to know about that redistribution of voters, particularly with the concern of voters in Lagos in mind, we got reports some weeks back, from a particular part of Lagos, Kushofe to be precise, where the voters expressed concern that they had been moved to other polling units farther than their location. And, as a result of the concern of lack of mobility on election day and then security, that relocation did not quite augur well with them. I wonder if Yiaga Africa is providing some form of intervention in that regard for voters. Perhaps it's not just voters in Kushofe that have been affected. Similarly, there could be other voters that have been affected in other parts of the country in this way.
Yes, thanks for raising that, because this was actually one of our worries, first, especially for voters who did not update their place of residence. So people registered before now. Some people registered as far back as 2011, 2019, 2015. And there's a likelihood that people have moved. And for those who did not update their place of residence, INEC would move them to locations indicated in their previous place of residence, which is why we think we have this challenge. So while there was an effort to move people closer to where they would vote, we know that it was not a perfect system. So the only thing I can say now is, sadly, there isn't much that can be done now because INEC has concluded whatever it has to do with the register of voters. It's just to encourage voters, if it means identifying somewhere closer to the polling unit to be moved to, please identify that place on an elections day and try to access your polling unit. However, this is also something we're engaging the Electoral Commission on, just in case there is something that can be done. But I know that when it comes to the register, things have been concluded, and post the elections, a lot more review would be done. But please, we ask people to be patient with the process. It's not perfect, it's stressful sometimes, but democracy is all about sacrifice. And at this point, we need to bear that particular pain just to exercise our fundamental right to vote and choose the right leaders when we go to vote. So sadly, there isn't much that can be done, and sorry for any voter that is actually experiencing this major challenge.
Oh yeah, so there you go. 3 days to go. Don't forget, you need to do what you can now, not later, now, because you never know what could come up next that might just prevent you. So don't be your own challenge or problem. Well, Cynthia, thank you as always. Cynthia Mbamalo is the Director of Programs for Yiaga. Thank you and all the best.